Thank you. So, if you don't mind, let's find out what you'd like to learn about and share about today. Give me a couple one-word requests, please.
Surrender.
Surrender.
Forgiveness.
Okay.
Connection.
Acceptance. Trust.
Yep.
Immortality.
What else?
Compassion.
Okay. Thank you. So, we have things ranging for the people online in case they couldn't hear. The requests are ranging from surrender, forgiveness, compassion, trust, and so on. Several other words. Immortality. Just off of that word right away. We're walking around planet Earth doing the spiritual thing, and we actually use some of these terminologies so, like, flippantly, like New Agey. We're immortal beings, and then, you see a new wrinkle and you get all mad at yourself. People don't understand. Another injection and I'll look more immortal. There's nothing wrong with the injections, guys. But understand this. If you judge yourself for the wrinkle, you're not being very immortal, because immortality comes from love. Love. Love is a wellspring. That is the fountain of youth. So, does that mean you won't have a wrinkle? No, it means you won't care. Becoming one with God is very, very similar to being on really good drugs. You're like, there's another wrinkle, but for some reason, man, I just don't care. Except it's not the same, so don't confuse that, I've got to be careful of what I say sometimes, huh? When I'm saying things, making fun of life, there's nobody I'm singling out. Please know that. I'll make fun of everybody. There's nobody that's immune from that. There's nobody safe from that. Because being on life is silly. Being on the earth is silly. We're actually one with God, pretending we're people who have bikes that chains go off, and you have to, on the side of the road, and you have to fix the chain. That's, and we run out of gas, and none of that's possible in who we really are. We're addicted to playing small. It's just kind of silly. And I use the word silly so you understand that I'm not going, stop doing that. Because now you're not seeing the humor of it. It's kind of silly. When you shame people for it, you're making a religion out of that belief. You don't want to be doing that, because we've had that. Just laugh. Just learn to see the silliness. Now, silliness, you wouldn't easily use that word if you were talking about blatant abuse in this world. But technically, that too is silly. Because if we know who we really are, we could not do that to each other. See, and so everything comes back to that. Immortality. Compassion. I can actually do compassion, or I can be the presence of compassion. Right? The doing of it isn't bad. It means I'm learning and practicing it. But when you walk around telling people you need to be more compassionate, you're being religious about it. You just demonstrate it. You just kind of relax more and you listen more compassionately. But there's a point where you realize that too was a tool. Meditation is a tool. You don't need to meditate or pray, believe it or not, when you're one with God again. Because you're never not in prayer meditation. Which, when you take those two words, prayer meditation, some people are like, oh, I'm reading a book on prayer, it's really important. Which it is. I'm reading a book on meditation, which is really important. Which it is. Workshops. When you blend them, there's something else called communion. Where the very thing we just did, in fact, come to think of it, as our opening prayer. The very idea of peace and oneness is the intention of my prayer. I don't have to go, dear baby Jesus, I wish I could be a little more ... Can you send me some more? See, symptomatically, it's more like seek first the kingdom and the rest comes. Seek the consciousness is what that means. So it's like peace and oneness. Whoa, it starts downloading in me. If I call in love and abundance, I don't have to pray. I need 30 cents to pay that bill. I call in love and abundance. You think God has debts or bills? No, when I call in the presence of God, I can't have any debts. So it seems magical, but it's the power of miracles that happen when I get in the right space, the right mindset. Now the bills get paid. See, humans in the beginning stages of spirituality, they still think it's like dealing with Santa Claus. I'm going to write a letter to the North Pole and maybe I'll get something if I'm good enough. That's not God. And there's nothing wrong with Santa. He's a nice guy. But God doesn't do that. We think, though, that God, Christ, and whatever, angels, that we actually, first of all, need to beg for something, and second of all, be good enough. And what I'm saying is communion allows us to just drop into the space of goodness, peace and oneness. I mean, a minute ago, I might have been yelling at a friend of mine, getting out of control or whatever. Let me get into a space of God. Yeah, but the ego is going to say, yeah, but, look what you did. You're not allowed to pray and commune with God. You have to only pray, go to a church, get on your knees and pray because you've been naughty. Look at the things you've done in this life. You can't commune with God if you've been a heroin addict, is the way some voices are going to tell us. Say no to that, because that's when I was silly. That's when I was in such low self-worth, and I say silly because if I'm one with God, I can't have low self-worth. It doesn't make sense. That's just silly. So instead, I realize no matter where I've been and what I've done, and everybody's done it. Everybody. Nobody's ever been born a saint and has always been a saint. We all had a learning curve. Just some of us were a bit more creative about it than others. We've all done this. We've all gone to battle. We've all killed in battle. No, not me, man. I've just been like a Findhorn attendee for every lifetime. Peace and love and oneness with fairies. Excuse me. No, we've all been angry at least once in our lifetimes. We've all been sad. We've all felt betrayed, judged, and gone to war. We've slept with thousands of people. Can you imagine that? I call it cosmic hose. Like we've been around, right? I've been around. And then the angels, ooh, ooh. Yeah. I'm sorry. So we've messed up. I have hated at least once in all my existence. And our guidance tells us, what should you do about it? Well, some religions are going to say, oh man, you're going to hell. Others are going to say it doesn't matter because nothing exists after death. No, that's not true, but that's what some say. Others are going to try pagan techniques to clear, Others, you're going to live many lifetimes, which is a very patient and compassionate approach, I might add. But it still implies you've done something wrong and you have to pay for it. It's not that I go to hell. It's softer. But if I have to come back 5 lifetimes to make up for it, I did go to hell. I didn't like you 8 lifetimes ago, and they sent me back 5 more times to be with you. That's hell. If I don't like you, it's hell. When I learn to say, brother, sister, you are me. How can I hate you? It's silly. And you let it go, that's forgiveness, and now you've risen to a new level of consciousness called heaven. Remember last week we had some really great stuff that was coming through. That concept of when you get into the right consciousness, you're not earning respect from God. You're actually ziplining straight to God consciousness. You're not getting a drop of God here. You're actually becoming this here, this thing called God. As humans, it'll feel like, oh, I had a miracle happen. I've been praying and this and this and this. I've been doing that. And I've been, doing all the things we do to become better. And I had a miracle happen, which I think is beautiful. But I'm saying that's not really how it works. When I grow, pray, meditate, forgive, cry, heal, all that stuff, journaling, what it's doing is it brings me into God's consciousness. And then you go, well, my life improved because you were in God's consciousness. So naturally, since there's no time and space, I, wherever I am in the present moment, am now experiencing more of God. So I had a miracle, but it's not. I over here begged this thing God over here, and eventually God liked me enough to drop me, a little bone here. So now I had a miracle. It's a lot of work for a 25-cent raise. What about peace and joy? And I go to that place and I fill up with that. It starts downloading where I think I am from where I truly am in God. So what I think I am starts to change, and we call that miracle. Later, we're going to kind of go, God, that was silly, huh? Wasn't that weird? Remember when we thought we were separate from God, saying, throw me a bone, Lord, give me a little goodness. I'm sorry, I don't deserve. Some religions are like that. You're just lowly worms, sinful. You're sinners. So that's the way to improve your chances on the other side, is if you just say, I'm a sinner. Which is weird, because, if you're saying that to your Lord Jesus, oh, Lord Jesus, please help me, I'm just a sinner, and we think that's humility. Jesus is like, oh, Christ, no. Jesus is like, you got to be... How is it helping to ask for a better life when you just told me you don't deserve it? You've just affirmed it. Now you're giving me a job to fight your belief systems. You see what I'm saying? How about if you make my job easier by saying, thank you for seeing my deservability, even though I sometimes don't see it? That's very true, very honest. And now we shift consciousness. So we could essentially think of the words you gave as being related to what we could call responsible creation or responsible creating, because that's what it is. People have forgotten that, they use these buzz phrases in some of the positive thinking circles. Buzz phrases meaning things like, as you think, so will you be. Some of the prosperity and positive thinking, right? As a man thinketh, so he will be, or whatever. Technically, it's not as a man thinketh, but that's the word that was used, that was sort of believed in at one time. It's how you believe. Everything comes back to this. If you sleep throughout this entire talk and only hear one thing, let it be this. Everything is about your beliefs. Everything. Everything. Now, your thoughts will build from your beliefs, but so will your emotions, and so will your reality. So, as a man thinks, so shall he be, is really should say, as a man believes, so will he think, feel, and experience. As a man thinks, as a man believes, so will he see. So will he be. Your belief systems determine everything. Your thoughts do not come from them just themselves. And you can't fix your life by just changing your thinking. I deserve great things. I deserve great things, like some people say. If you don't believe it, it's not going to change anything. Beliefs are number one. Technically, there's one thing higher, the knowingness of God. But on earth, before you ever get to the knowingness of God, your upper three chakras, you have to fix this, your heart, your beliefs. My beliefs should not be my ego's opinions. They should not be what you told me. You know what I believe is, like, why are you a Democrat or a Republican? Why are you gay or straight? Why are you anything? Because someone told you so. And if it wasn't a person, it was your own head. You know what the best answer would be? When they ask you, government forms, are you male or female? Just make your own box and say, I don't know, I'll get back to you. Because the only thing you really are is a holy, perfect child of God. You're not male or female. You're not this color. You're not this race. You're not that nation. None of it applies. Now, I'm not saying you should really try to push that envelope with government papers, because then you may not get Social Security and all that. I'm just saying, in all honesty, hear what I'm saying. Feel it. It's all about your beliefs. Your beliefs can sabotage your thinking. Your thinking can't as easily sabotage your belief system. So for every 1,000 times I do I am deserving, if I don't believe it, it's dead. Will thinking help at all? Yeah, maybe a little. Maybe if I don't believe, and I do 10,000 repetitious prayers, I really do believe, I do deserve. It's going to add a drop of something somewhere, but how much do I not believe it is going to still override it. So think about that. It's all about belief. So people will say to you, your thinking affects your life. Well, they're not getting it. There's another chakra. Thinking is your mental chakra. There's a higher one called your heart center. This one. My beliefs will determine everything else as creation, responsible creation, but all creation rolls downhill. So if I know I'm one with God, wonderful. If I truly know it, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to also believe it. But I have free will. Can I choose to not believe it? Yes or no? I can choose to not believe it. And that's where it all goes wrong. A Course in Miracles will say this, and Edgar Cayce says it as one of his most popular axioms. Spirit is the source. This is the builder. The rest is just the result. And the Course says that too. What does it mean? This is the source of all. I am as God created me. This is where you get to use free will to decide if it's true or not. I am as God created me. You know, I've been weird. I've done some really creepy things in my lifetime. You know, now you know what's going to happen? Uh-oh. Now my thoughts, known and unknown thoughts, conscious and unconscious thoughts. You don't deserve, because you know what you've done. That's your inner dialogue. And then the emotions, God, now I'm really sad because of the things you thought and told me. Well, you should be, man. And well, I was wanting to create a better life. How do you expect to have a good life down in the root chakra, the physical reality, which is your manifested world? How do you expect that? And even if we can magically make something go right, it can't last because of our thinking, which is rooted in our beliefs. Got to get to soul level healing. Got to get to the soul. Got to get to the heart and soul. Very few healers and healing techniques know how to go to the heart and soul. That's unfortunate. But there are some that do, that use proper techniques that go to the heart and soul. Some people will say they do. Listen, my guides are telling me have one apple a day, that's going to get to the heart and soul. No, it doesn't. It's an apple, for God's sakes. Look what it did to us in the garden. No, I'm kidding. But I need to get to this place here. Most of us know our thinking, right? If I asked you right now, what are you thinking about? Most of you would know what your thoughts are. Your emotions, most of you check in and go, I'm feeling kind of this and that. Your physical reality, you open your checkbook, that's how much money, how much health. You can tell me most of your lower three chakra realities. Most people do not know what's happening in here. Oh, you mean this isn't the subconscious. That's still just an unseen part of your thinker. This is your soul. This determines everything because of this one law. Whatever I'm going to experience down here is the effect only of what? What's the effect of? Of God? No, guys. The effect of whether I chose to believe that I am as God created me. Am I really accepting my divinity? That's all it is. Now, your outer reality is nothing but a holographic representation of your answer. Am I or am I not? Now watch. Oh, I definitely am. Right? And then, everything in my life's going wrong. The going wrong does not mean you're bad. It's nothing but a signpost. It's a hologram to show us how we're doing. So how am I doing? Let me wake up and think about, you know what? I hate less people today. That's a good sign. I've had less violence. That's a good sign. But what if you're in the middle of a war? Are you supposed to say, I guess we're bad people? No, you're having a bad day. And it isn't war that determines that you're bad or sickness that determines you're bad. Not at all. It's just today's signpost. Because, and this is the bummer part to it, no matter how much I think I believe or choose to believe that I'm one with God, I'm not alone. There's the collective. I could be like, I'm going to totally devote to believing I'm one with God. And you people are all nuts. I'm part of you. You can drag me down. It's the grading curve. So I could think I'm all amazing and holy, but I'm part of you. So you know what some human beings that are on the spiritual path do? So I really have it together. It's them that's the problem. They're part of you. How many people do you not like? One shy of 8 billion. Because I know I'm getting it together. What's wrong with the rest of them? They are the other one short of 8 billion neurons in your mind. You're the one who hasn't gotten the one to shine enough light on the rest of them. You mean I'm responsible for the other one shy of 9 billion or 9 trillion or whatever it is, right? That's depressing. That's why the Bible says you are your brother's keeper. We're in this together. You can't ascend alone. No offense if you thought you were doing so. You can't. You could even get to another dimension of people that thought they got somewhere. Hey, how we doing? What dimension is this? We're not quite sure. All we know is that we're not with those people, those crazy humans. But all you are is in some crazy astral plane with other humans in denial. So you're still going to have to get it. I have to love everyone. Well, you don't mean everyone. Oh, yeah, exactly. I meant you're allowed to select who's likable. If you think you're ascending, you're getting closer to God consciousness. If you're getting closer to God consciousness, do you think you're going to actually start slicing out, the roast portions of this meal? You think you're going to segment away? It doesn't work that way. If you're in God consciousness, I find less and less ability to hate anyone. The concept of hating anyone becomes foreign. That's different from you going, I mustn't, like snap a rubber band. Oh, I'm hating that person. Wait, snap. That kind of reprogramming won't hit here. It'll change at best your neurology to seem like you don't hate people as much. Oh, I'm in a muscle test. Nope, I don't hate anybody. You programmed your neurology. Congrats. But the day will come when you come to me or someone else for soul level healing, and you're going to find it again. And when you find it, you're going to get agitated sometimes sad and sometimes agitated. Because you thought it was gone because you learned this rubber band snapping technique that would make you not have, it's like some positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, those concepts, or scared straight. That doesn't work in the long haul. We have to become. We don't grow by avoiding. We have to learn to see what it is, why it was attractive to us. You know what I want to do? I have this pattern of attracting narcissistic men. So I'm going to go to a community where there's only women. You think that's the cure? I have, a deficiency in a certain mineral. So I'm going to take a mineral. Oh, here's another one. I'm always happier when the temperature's a little lighter or higher. Guys, you don't have a body. It's a hologram. None of the things we think on the outside that can make us happier or sadder actually have power over us. But here's what happens when you think they do. I am not as God created me. How do I know? Because I'm still irritated by the weather. Anything can irritate me. I have people that go into deep depression when their football teams lose. It's the weirdest thing. And I'm like, wow. I don't do it outside. I'm like, oh, beloved, I'm sorry to hear that. Inside, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It's college football or pro football. Who cares? It's an illusion. But I don't say that out loud. So if you ever bring your football depression to me, please don't think that I'm actually inside doing this. Try to look at the outside where I'm smiling and acting like, acknowledging your deep depression. Guys, it's really all silly. Laugh at it. There's nothing wrong with you saying I'm sick. There's nothing wrong with you saying I would like to support this ball team today. Nothing wrong with it at all. Do it. Take the meds you think you need to take. But on the inside, don't believe that it has power over you. Play the game down here, but don't totally buy into it as a belief. No one, nothing can have power over you. Not just that it doesn't. It can't, because there is no them and it. They're all reflections of how I'm doing. Not just in my external self-worth. How I'm doing in my beliefs. Beliefs about what? How connected I am, how one I am with God, and how much not. All human beings right here as we stand, we are a collision of those two conversations. How much am I letting God be? How much am I letting the ego hijack me? That's what it is. So I look at my life, how happy, how sick. Please don't take it literally. Like, if I have one hand missing, it means I'm lesser than whole. Don't take it in the terms of form and literal. Because you could be without limbs and be holy. Does that make sense? You can have all your limbs and be all messed up. It's more of reading the signs without judging the signs. And you shouldn't tell other people how holy they are. You know, there are people that do that in the, pseudo-spiritual community. They walk around and somebody says, "Oh, I caught cold." "Oh, what issues do you have?" "Apparently someone's not looking at their issues enough." You don't need that from them. And if they do it repetitively, forgive them and leave, and not hang out with them. Because that's just a beginner. Someone gets in the spiritual path and they learn these new tools. "Oh, I heard you have some hair loss, you must have some issues." Yeah, one of them I can see real clearly right now. One of them really blatant, "Boy, I got some stuff coming up." Don't tell them it was them. But just see it for what it is and maybe go somewhere else. So it is so beautiful to think everything narrows down to one thing. It's not complex. How much do I believe the same as God believes? God believes I'm one with God. God sees me as a holy being. No, I'm not talking about the way humans wish they were holy. I'm not talking about the guy who, I'm going to exercise more and then God will see that I'm more holy. I'm talking about a holiness that our human minds have never seen. It's way beyond. You could even say it's like your angelic self that's pure light, but it's beyond that, believe it or not. It's even a higher consciousness than that. We are one with God and that can never change. But in our oneness, we're dreaming that we choose to have a will that is separate from God's. We are dreaming that what if my beliefs didn't match God's? And that is where everything began. Time, distance, illness, lack. Only the day I decided to entertain the idea that I might be separate from God. Now, we could have solved that minute. You can't be. Oh, okay, done. One with God still. But we didn't. You know what we did? I wonder what it would be like. What would it be like to be separate and to believe that I'm separate? In that moment, the Big Bang occurred. In that moment, we went, "Oh my God, that's a terrible thought to have." And that wasn't enough. We judged ourselves for it. If we would have had that terrible thought and laughed, A Course in Miracles says, if you would have laughed at how hilarious it is to think, if God is all, how can you be separate from all? You could tell a 5-year-old that and they'll get it. But we decided to dramatize it. We decided to play it out because we judged. We didn't just say, "I wonder what it would be like to be separate." We went, that's still not it. That's fear. Means afraid. There was one more step. Now we're in trouble because this happened. This is true. This is real. We separate. You started believing it and judging yourself for it. Then it made you fall from heaven. That's what the fall means. Fall from heaven to this chakra, this state of consciousness. That becomes the Garden of Eden, where we then lived close to God, but not one with God. We lived in a dimension that was close to God. But God, according to the Bible, would have to come and visit us. You see the symbolism of that? We weren't there. God would have to come and visit, which means occasionally we assign days where, we could open the veil and let God come in. No problem. This is great. We could still get home. No. We ended up biting from the tree of judgment instead of the tree of forgiveness. The garden had 2 trees. And there was one that was the tree of life, which is the tree of forgiveness. So it's kind of like this. Here we are. We start dropping into the garden. Hey, well, by the way, guys, you're down in the garden. If you want to go over there and munch from that tree, it means you're going to choose to forgive yourselves, and we go home. Then there's this other tree, and we're like, where? No, you don't want to eat from that tree. Where is it, though? Yeah, but listen, the other tree is the tree where you're going to judge yourself for having separated. Where's that tree? I'm just curious. This is the ego being created. No, listen, don't eat from that tree. Okay. The hell-bent, as it were, to judge ourselves. So we just inch our way over to that tree. And then what happened next? Women. Eve bites from the tree, means bites into the illusion and judgment. Then she spoils Adam's life by getting him to do it. Do you know what that's called? Blaming others. Eve, why did you eat from Adam, why did you fall? Why did you eat from the tree? She talked me into it. She's got, she's pretty good looking. If she didn't have those legs, I would have never listened to her. God, you gave her the legs, so we blame. And then Eve, why did you do that to poor Adam? The serpent made me do it. It's perfect. You see what happens? When we get our beliefs into judgment instead of love, we project our stuff on everybody else. We're still doing it. We started with judging ourselves, which is why you see that concept of Adam and Eve splitting. It means I judged part of myself and it pushed away from me. Eve became a projection of our blame, or Adam became a projection of our blame. To blame the outside world became a projection. If we wouldn't have blamed the serpent, the outside world, we wouldn't have blown the world into a material universe where we now live. The serpent represents the kundalini, the etheric energy that brought physical life to the universe, matter. So as soon as we blame the serpent, which is the energy, the divine energy, the chi, that's behind everything, plasma for that matter, behind everything. And so it started materializing. Why? Because we blamed it. When there was no it couldn't materialize. So when I have a thing in me, like let's say low self-worth, if I own it and heal it, all is well. If I blame it, someone has to show up to materialize it. So don't say that you believe in the law of, yeah, man, we can create. You can't believe it halfway, only when you want it convenient. You can't go, I believe in the law of manifestation. Our minds can create. And I want, and I want, and I want. That's just the ego again. It's also only half the law. You're forgetting that if you believe in the law of manifestation, you can't just say, I believe that I can get what I want. It also means that what you've got is something you created. Soak that in. I don't like that law now because it's a perfect universe in that sense. It can't flaw. I can't go, you know what? I accidentally, wait, you won the lottery? You know what? This is weird because that's mine. My lottery went to your hand somehow. It was meant to land here. You can't cheat. If it was yours, it would be in your hands. You can't have a freckle that's somebody else's. All of this is vibrationally perfect in terms of manifesting our beliefs. And then we actually have the audacity to say, okay, I learned the power of prayer. Jesus, make them come back to me. Jesus, fix this. Jesus, fix that. Wait a minute. We just said we're working on believing that our consciousness here is what manifests out there. Not just I can make things happen. Whatever's happening is made by me. Is that making sense? Ask and ye shall receive, and bet on it. You've received exactly as you've asked. That can't be true. I never asked for a jerk like that. I asked for my soulmate. You end up with a cellmate for a reason. For a reason. Because underneath the thinker, I know exactly what I want. Hey, look, I've got a chart here. And the chart says the handsome, 35, wealthy, creative. You want an artist and wealth and everything? Really? Okay, keep going. What else do you want? And then their name has to be Jim. And you keep going on and on and on. You're outlining it. Are you coming from your head? Yes. Your ego absolutely is infiltrating this. Your intention for love is right on. What you think you need is off, and it's almost always off. Your thinking cannot be on and accurate unless it comes from God within you. To do that, you have to say, I don't know. I think I want, but you know what? I don't know. Because no matter how much I try for this, I'm going to get the other tree. I want the tree of life, so I say, but I keep getting the tree of death. Judgment, karma. What's happening with that? Oh, I don't know if there's a God because this shouldn't be happening. Oh, I guess I have karma. And you have all these names. You know what you're doing? Blaming. Stop. It's my belief systems. And there is something you can do about it, but nothing you can do if you don't own it. First, you have to recognize there's a problem. Yeah, this is my 15th soulmate relationship, my one and only ever. I thought the last one was, this is it for sure. This is my one and only. And now I'm on another one and only. Wait, doesn't that contradict? How many one and onlys can you have? Just chill. Just chill. Like, forget the one and only. All of them are you. They're all you. And that doesn't mean if you partner with a psychopath that you're literally a psychopath or a narcissist. Not literal. But there's something in me that said, thinker, I'm ready. I want a great, healthy partner. And so on and so on. But the believer says, oh, you poor thing. You know that you feel unlovable. I don't even know that voice because I'm not in touch with my soul. I'm in touch at best with the thinker. So the thinker manifests another person that smiles and they seem great and they've got their finances together. They drive a good car. They seem well put together. Everything seems right, which is also half the definition of a psychopath. Okay? I hope I'm not depressing y'all. Listen. There was this talk. It was a Sunday inspirational talk about how, forget it. Don't trust any relationship. It's not what I'm saying. But our thinking only takes us so far and only manifests almost ever our ego desires. Look at the deepest mystery teachers' teachings, the masters. Listen to Krishna. Listen to the Upanishads. Listen to teachings from all around the world, the highest teachings. They're not talking about trying to fix your life on the outside. I don't remember that in the Vedas. You know, just make sure you polish your face and you're going to be one with God. I must have missed that chapter, that sentence. I never remember the Upanishads talking about, pretend and everything's together. They're all telling us, or as Jesus says, and I quoted last week, somewhere in the last recent time, the Gospel of Thomas, seek and ye shall become disturbed. Then you will find, but first you're going to be disturbed. Why? Because I found stuff I didn't know was there when I really seek. You don't want to seek and find what you think you want. Seek really, and you will find all that is not real, that is not God in you. And that is disturbing. It's sad. I didn't know there was still an angry person in me. I didn't know there was a sad person. I didn't know that I have depression. I didn't know that I don't take care of myself, and so on and so on. You'll see those pieces. It doesn't help you to polish it up and say, I'm spiritual. I don't need any of the healing of the old stuff. It doesn't do you any good. The reason for that caduceus, the Ida Pingala, the reason for that symbol in holistic medicine and even medicine, the reason for that is because one of the serpents represents the healing path and one the spiritual. And I need to navigate both in a nice blend as needed basis. We're not supposed to just do one half of it. Look at me, I'm all spiritual. Left brain, right brain, or spiritual. You know what? Sometimes I'm sad. And that's this one. And sometimes I noticed that prayer helped me. That's this one. Wonderful. Other times I needed to cry. That's this one. You see what I'm saying? One side is this and one side's that. And you need to find your version of equilibrium with that. We all do. So seek and you shall become disturbed. And it's okay. Christ consciousness, or I say Christ, you could say sometimes that's a quote from Jesus, sometimes A Course in Miracles, sometimes White Eagle, because it's the consciousness of Christ within us. So that's why I try to not often, Jesus said, because for some people that's a turnoff, which it shouldn't be. But some people, that's too much programming. It just means Christ. If I say Christ consciousness says this, I can promise you, it's likely you'll find it in Yogananda's teachings and, for that matter, in the teachings of Krishna. Because they understand what Christ consciousness is. That's what I focus on. And I still have moments, there's moments that something could happen. If I get pulled over for a traffic violation, there could be a moment of, oh, bummer. But I swear to God, most of the time, it becomes a great story I'm going to come here and tell you guys. Guess what? I had this cop pull me over. Because it's all funny to me. I don't have to defend it or fear it or hate it. And if I do, it's for a split second or so. All right? It's okay. So, oh my God, cop pulled me over. Okay, Om Mani Padme, I get no ticket. Om Mani Padme, I get no ticket. You're still trying to say what you need. How do you know? And I'm not saying the other is true, but how do you know it's not true? That it's important that you get that ticket and that you smile at that officer today. How do you know that he wasn't wanting to give up because everybody slamming law enforcement? How do you know? How do you know that there was nothing about that? How do you know that you weren't supposed to get the ticket, go over to the court, and just happen to talk to the clerk that day and say the right thing to change their life? Not convert. I'm not talking about religious conversion. I'm saying just, hi, how are you? I don't know anything, but God does. So I start the day, guide me, show me. What would you have me do and not do? And don't forget, what would you have me say and not say? Humans get in this penchant, if they're even getting spiritual at all, they get into this, I got to tell everybody. There's also a what not say, what to not say. You know, oh, my mother's calling and I just read a chapter of A Course in Miracles. Boy, I have a thing or two to tell her. No. It's supposed to say, what would you have me say and not say? And trust me, there's times when Jesus is like, please don't say that. You know, back off, don't say it. And then you're like, Mom, boom. And he's like, oh, I told you. And you wonder why you have a broken relationship. It is our destiny. Why? It is our destiny to have all relationships healed and holy. There's people in countries you'll never visit and people you'll never meet. Clearly you'll never meet. And they have to become holy relationships. It means I'm going to take my agendas off of you, first of all. Even partnerships. Well, what do you got to have some agendas with partnerships. After all, I want them to do certain things the way I want them done. There's reasonable requests. You could say to a partner, they say, I love making toast for you. It means a lot to me. Well, thank you. That's really beautiful. I love the taste of that. So they make toast and they have a penchant for burning it. And you go, this is great. Could I ask, sweetheart, beloved, soulmate, if it's less charcoaly? Would that be okay? Oh, I can't believe, and here come the cuss words, and you're so disrespectful. You don't appreciate anything. That could happen. So if you're going to deal with challenges in your life, you can't start stating to God in my prayers, the daily prayers, what I want the outcome to be, especially human outcome. You know what you are encouraged to do? I don't know. But as far as I do know, I'm putting this into your hands, first of all. Second of all, my prayer is always for the greatest good, never to win, never to have the cop not give me the ticket. I don't know. What is the greatest good? Honestly. A friend of mine was driving a zillion miles an hour once, and I was saying, you probably want to slow down. No, I got it, man, doing these mountains and whatever. And this cop pulled us over. He said, I clocked you at a zillion miles an hour. And, and we said, he's trying to get me to a place to speak. And it was like, we heard it's like a couple hours away. So he was picking up the speed to try to get. And he's like, whatever, he gives him the ticket. And then I said to the cop, can we ask you a question before you leave? He goes, sure. I said, how far away is this place? Because we were told it's like 2 hours. He goes, it's 4 hours. And I go, geez, now we got to drive fast, twice as fast. You know what? The cop, I swear to God, side of the road, buckled over, laughing so hard. That is what we're supposed to do. In other words, love. I don't mean it's always about a joke, cracking a joke, but it's about bonding with people, bridging with people. I get what you're saying. I know how you feel. I don't care if somebody comes to me and says the most disgusting thing about another human being. My job is not to correct them. It's to first hear them. Wow, what happened? In my mind, I'm not like, give me the dirt. I'm going to tell everybody about that. I'm like, hey, I care about you. What happened? My mind is not going, that jerk that did that. I need to hear you. You're in pain right now. Whether what that other person did is factually accurate or not, I don't know. I wasn't there. But tell me what's happening with you. And more often than not, by far, the person feels better once they're heard. Wait, I got healing techniques I'm supposed to do. Guys, hearing them. The problem with some human beings is they don't have a strong enough boundary, psychological boundary, and a force field to know how to hear hard stuff and not soak it in. Counselors, healers, nurses, social workers, oh my God. They're in the trenches all the time. It's hard not to soak the stuff in at times. But it is your destiny, first of all, to improve upon that. And secondly, eventually you're there. You can totally hear anything and never believe that the person's horrible. What they did sounds like someone who's in pain. How can I help you, first of all? And then I, in my prayers, will also send the same amount of love and prayer to the other person. Well, you don't want to send it to them. They don't deserve. Now I need healing. Oh, dang. Somebody that's into self-worth. I guess I should just fold things up and go home. It says, I know how to get them. And it goes after our weak areas. So you stop this addiction and you start another one, which is why the program, 12-step program, warns you about that. It's telling you, listen, you stop drinking. Don't date for a while. I wouldn't have, except at the program. I met somebody who's amazing. They are like hot. And they said I was too. And you know what? My guides told me, Michael, you need to start working on self-worth. And here's this person at my 12-step meeting that said I'm wonderful. It's from God. This is a message from God. And God's like, no habla inglés. No comprende. No. And we're just so hell-bent. Once we get that, where's that other tree? The tree of illusion. And we can't let it go. It's very hard. Because of your addiction to alcohol? No. Drugs? No. Your addiction to being broken. Your addiction to being separate from God. It is an addiction. And I know I'm leaving everything on a wonderful note there. But if you weren't addicted to separation, it would have ended. We have a compulsion and addiction to our low self-worth. I'm sorry, we do. If it weren't true, it wouldn't be appealing enough to stay in love with, to stay stuck to. So our healing process partly has to do with seeing our misdirected loves towards things like brokenness and low self-worth. Learn to heal that and fall in love with your real self. Rise in love. I fell in love with my ego. I want to rise in love with my soul. Once I do that, my soul's going to rise in love into God complete. Then everything's right. Well, everything's home now. I'm back. What am I going to think about all this other stuff? Nothing at all. Because you'll say it's a journey without distance to a place I never left. Please take a few centering breaths. If there was a word or two shared at the beginning that really attracted you, like somebody asked about trust or compassion, tune in to where we talked about that in the talk. If you asked, Michael, can you talk about, compassion or trust or whatever, please let the question be answered. Hear the answer in your mind. Find it in all that I talked about. So start right now, everyone, whether it's something you heard and wanted me to talk about or something you just heard that you liked. Let it become yours. It is not something a guy talked about today on stage. It's yours. Please own it. When you repeat it to somebody, don't say, Michael said. Say whatever it is as the truth. Just say it like it's true. Well, I learned, trust is like this. Don't say Michael said. Say, well, trust is this. And relationships are kind of goofy because it's like this. Healing is both, it's one side of a two-sided symbol. Healing is one half of my path. Spirituality is the other. And I tend to follow both. Don't say Michael said there's both. That's a good compliment. That's very nice. I really appreciate it. Take it another level and let it be yours. And when you encounter people and you say it, you are being the presence of God, like a beam of light shining to the earth, anchoring that truth. It's really, we all have done it at least once, but it's an amazing thing because remember, last week I said, and this week slightly, that when you have those things happen, you're ziplining to God. When you bring that light, they're ziplining to the God in you, which is the ultimate God as well. You be that presence. You don't have to say things with fear and hesitation and low self-worth corrupting it. If you believe it, be it, and be able to say it. You don't have to convert people with it. So own that for a moment. What did you hear? Any one or more things that really made sense, sit with that and go, wow, I got it. I got it. Then ask yourself, if you did get it, how does that change your life? How is that going to affect your life? Because it's worthless if it doesn't have some effect. See how it affects your thinking. How does it affect your belief systems? Your interactions with other people? What that does is it integrates further into your being. One more step. How would this change your interaction with others? I don't mean you have to be perfect every day, but just any amount. How might this make you a different mommy or daddy? Employer, employee. I mean, if you apply the things you said you liked hearing, how would it affect your interaction with others? And then just completely own that by giving thanks. This is me. This is me. This is my new self. I will slip clearly and not apply this sometimes, but I'm owning this is me. This is my belief system. This is the direction I can go. And I will do my best to live this, be it, and with others. Be the presence of that. I'm giving thanks, which anchors it in fully. And so it is. Thank you. Just take a minute to integrate. We're going to do our closing prayer. Remember, in summary, those of you note takers, and especially in people that can memorize this, remember, when you have stuff going wrong in your life, it's coming from your beliefs. How do I change my beliefs? You've got to first own that you have to have some misbeliefs or it wouldn't go like this. Own something's going a little crazy and I know it's reflecting some lessons for me. Is that making sense? Got to get that piece down. Then I'm going to choose a different belief system. If my relationships are showing me a pattern of, let's say, undeservability, I need to see it, own it, and then surrender it. Recognize, accept, surrender. Then I'm going to replace it with something new, which might be one of my favorite mantras for myself, love and self-worth. That's the one that applies to the most human beings. Not everybody's looking for, not everybody can relate to a mantra such as oneness. Not all people know what happiness is. They might need that as their mantra. But they might want joy instead of happiness. There's a slight difference. You see what I'm saying? Call in, focus on and call in that presence. But it has to be what feels right for you. The most common two that I use, usually I suggest two, love and self-worth. Because that covers so much. Anybody that's been hurt could work on some self-worth. Anybody that's struggled in the world, especially self-worth, love. But if I've been wounded by others, self-worth is another nice flip side of that same coin. Peace and happiness is a great one if those words apply to you. If you feel already a tremendous amount of peace, you feel good there, that wouldn't necessarily be your best mantra. So go with two words that feel right for you. We're going to do our closing prayer. Please stand. Instead of asking individual feedback, I apologize, so we want to stay closer to time, hour and 15 for services, for the whole service. So I won't ask questions this time, but I am asking collectively, did it make sense? Yes. Can you see how it applies in your life? Yes. Isn't it great? Yes. Right? I mean, isn't it like, wow, putting pieces together, weaving pieces together, and teaching each other, don't buy into just half of a sentence of a so-called reality, a law. Law of the universe. You can create anything you want. No, wait. Law of the universe is, and you already created it. Look around you. If you can't take responsibility for what you already created, do you really want to start pushing the button to create more things? If you already have a creepy life, what makes you think it's going to be better? Heal the heart and soul. I am as God created me. You don't have to fix yourself. Call on the part that is God, that knows your real self. I have all these weird opinions of myself. Tell them to your counselors, your sponsors, and each other. God, I have this weird, da-da-da-da-da. Stop taking it as a permanent thing. Well, I am and give yourself a label. I can't be better. I'm a single mom. I'm struggling. Stop. That is true. You're a single mom and you're struggling. But would you like to loosen that up and let it go? Cry it out. Scream it out. Talk it out. Therapy it out. Heal it and replace it with a goddess. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I am holy. Not just saying it. It doesn't help. I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful when you believe differently. I'm choosing to believe what God believes. You know what that's called? God's will be done. Isn't that great? Oh my God. Thank you for being who you are online and here. Thank you. I mean it. Thank you for being who you are, because anything I do is from what you pull out of me. So if your vibration is here, that's where I can go. If it's here, that's where I can go. So thank you for helping me co-create such a wonderful dance. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, you are, and so it is. Before you go, listen to the prayer you just did. Do you see why we worded it that way? I am. God is, I am, and we are. Nobody's left out. This isn't, and only 144,000 of us are going to go home. Everybody else burns eternally in hell. What do they need, firewood? Like, come on. God is, I am, we are. Isn't this great? The light of God does surround us, but then you repeat, we are that light. Nothing in there has anything to do with something outside. It acknowledges the all of it and then says, and it's right here. It acknowledges the all and says, it's right here. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you. The bookstore is open if you'd like anything there. If you would like some chaplains to work with you, they're going to be standing right against the walls. Chaplains, please. You can invite any of them to work with you. Okay? Jeff will lead a prayer circle in here as well. God bless you all, and thank you for everything you share here. You're welcome. Thank you. Well deserved.